Hey everybody, Jim Cummings here, and if Tigger were here, he'd say, thanks everybody for bouncing on in here and enjoying the show. But before we go, I want you to do me a small favor. Hit like, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. Now, speaking of enjoying the show, enjoy the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. We have a really great episode coming up for you today, a discussion with Maurice LaMarche. But before we get into that, we just wanted to talk about last week's episode with Walter Jones. That was a good discussion.
What a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that guy. The Black Power Ranger. He is greased and ready to kick butt at a moment's notice.
He really is.
So tune in, please.
And his story about the missing finger, I just thought that was so cool of him to be so vulnerable and share that story. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I know, and he's a hell of a guy. I've known him for a long time, and he's an interesting guy, and he's a great salsa dancer. What? Are you kidding? Yeah, true.
Every time I see him at a convention, he's always, I'll be like, Walter, you going salsa dancing today? He says, you know of a place?
Yeah. And his handler, do you dance? Do you salsa dance? I don't think. Good. And next thing they're dancing. So you got to love this guy.
He'll even have the music on at his table, dancing at the table.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there trying to do a shout out to somebody. Could you turn that down a little bit there, Walt, just for a minute? Great guy.
Yeah, a great episode, and we hope you guys enjoy this one. We had a great conversation with Maurice today, too.
Maurice's.
Yeah. And like we were saying over on Patreon, we didn't get to really get into it the first episode with Maurice LaMarche. You guys have probably seen it. We interviewed him last year.
Yeah, it was kind of truncated, a little bit smaller. We tried to squeeze it in.
Yeah, because it was at a convention, and some of those interviews or podcasts, I should say, on the road, they, people are a little tired after
a little bit.
Talking to hundreds of people, and
that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't have the same quite flow and energy that we're looking for when we record
whatever that is
in the studio. So this is
so it works, yeah.
So this is a really good conversation with Maurice.
Yeah, you're going to like it. He's a great guy. I mean, come on.
Absolutely. And a lot of things I didn't know about him. That came up in this episode. Like I never knew he wanted to be on camera and be the main comedian. He did a comedic circuit when he was younger.
I remember the first time I saw him, he wasn't in the room. He was on television. And he was the handsome, dashing Fuji videotape guy. How about that? And he was doing a sort of and he comes from the world of stand-up. That was his former home. And he was pretty damn awesome. And he was the Fuji guy. And he was this dashing, looking like a leading man, and they went from there to the Brain. Now he's taking over the world. That was my terrible Brain impression. Sorry, Mo. I feel bad now. I'm gonna go eat worms. But
no, but we really think you guys will enjoy this episode and some more guests coming up. I mean, we have Michael Rosenbaum coming up, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, we just interviewed the other day, Mark Meskimen, Rolanda Watts. I mean, a lot of great interviews coming up for you guys, and more to come. We have plenty scheduled, so we hope you guys are enjoying the content. We're gonna get right into this Maurice LaMarche episode, but before we do, Jim has some convention dates to announce.
Just want to let you know, just in case you're in the neighborhood, coming up this March 29th and 30th, we will be at Anime Las Vegas. Apparently it's in Las Vegas, Anime. And April 12th and 13th at Collecticon Chicago, that toddling town. And how about April 18th and 20th? And that will be the amazing, I can almost read my own right, Amazing Art Expo. Where else would you have it but Phoenix, Arizona? That's April 18, 20. Amazing Art Expo, Phoenix. And last but not least, April 25th through 27th is going to be NostalgiaCon Denver. Denver in the Mile High City. Every time I go there, when I accidentally jog, and I mean accidentally, I just go, why am I? And, that's right, I'm 10,000 feet in the air. Anyway, so don't do that, but I'll see you there. Thank you.
Yeah, have you ever had altitude sickness?
I think so.
Yeah, I got altitude sickness one time. Yeah. It was terrible. It was like, it felt like the worst hangover you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, and your legs were not your friend.
Oh, no. Yeah. And I got it halfway down skiing in Big Bear, down the mountain, halfway down, and all of a sudden,
yeah.
It was,
Yes, I remember my daughter Raleigh, when she was like 9, we got out of the car and we were getting ready to go, and it just started snowing, so she was running, having a great time, because in California, you got to go to a mountain to get some snow. And she started running, and she goes, "This is great, look at that." Oh, ha, ha, ha. And she was ready to fall down. I said, "It's okay, Pumpkin, you don't want to run too much up here. Don't have as much air." So it was fun, but she learned. She's fine, by the way. Yes, anyway.
All right. Well, without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Maurice LaMarche.
The right reading for this is the one I'm giving it. I've spent 20 times more for you people than any other commercial I've ever made. You're such bests. Now, what is it you want in your depths of your ignorance? What is it you want? Whatever it is you want, I can't deliver because I just don't see it. That was absolutely fine. It really was. It isn't worth it. No money is worth this.
Yeah.
Hey, now we can start. Hi, Jimmy.
I feel like we're starting the Tasmania show.
Right?
Because that's how it started.
Literally.
Every 65 episodes
Every episode we had to do my little warm-up with the Orson Welles.
Yes.
A recitation of the Orson Welles outtake tape.
And Miriam Flynn would sit there and go, "How long do these go again?"
Miriam and I had never worked together before, so she didn't know what she was.
She didn't know
what
she was in for. Well, she does now.
She was used to working with professional people.
Yeah. Well, we showed her.
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Dear friend.
Oh, man.
Phil Hartman was the very first voice on my answering machine the morning my son Jonathan was born, because we had the same agent at the time.
Oh, wow.
He was actually up early to do a link up with Al Franken to do those commercials they used to do together, and Nina Nisenholtz, our agent at the time, said, "I just got a message from Mo that his son was born at 3 a.m. So it was Mighty Mo, it's Phil. You're a dad. What wonderful news." I think I still have that microcassette somewhere. Those are the days of machines.
Yeah.
Answering machines.
I remember those.
Yes, I know. I just don't know if your audience would.
Yeah.
You say to kids now,
I remember the Brontosaurus in the background.
Right.
Tromping through, and they would always.
Yeah, that's where he had that basket, and that's where you went and bought them from the caveman on the back. You bought the answering machines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Well, I'm so glad you're here, buddy. Thank you.
Pal.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled anybody's interested in my little tale of woe.
Oh, well, I think we qualify as interested.
Yeah, God bless.
I can promise you that much. And I was thinking of just history, mine, yours, and they're pretty close. They're pretty on par with each other.
We run kind of neck and neck. I mean, it really. Yeah. I was a comic first.
Yes.
And you were a musician, and also. Prior to that, you had your time in New Orleans where you're actually doing working for a living.
Yeah, actually working. Yeah, lifting heavy objects.
But we kind of came to this voiceover thing. This way, like I wasn't going for it. I wasn't going. I want to be a voice actor.com. Little plug there, D. Love you.
How did you find your way into it?
Well, this is the thing. I just kind of sidewaysed my way into it. It was I had a dip of the toe of my toe in the water in Canada, but when I was about 19 years old, or just turned 20. This company called Nelvana Films had a they'd had a big success.
Nelvanimation.
Yeah, and they had a big success with their very first special, and then they did something called Easter Fever, where Garrett Morris from SNL was playing the Easter Bunny. And
obviously,
first choice. He was great, and they were the premise was the Easter Bunny was retiring. They were looking for another animal to replace him. Was going to be the Easter chicken, the Easter bat, and but they were also having a roast for him.
The Easter bat,
and I played Peter Easterbat. Here comes Peter Easterbat, and they were having a roast, and they were having celebrities, on the roast. And Don Rickles was a rattlesnake, Don Rattles. Steve Martin was a horse, Steve
You're
Martin.
Kidding.
But it wasn't them. It was me. Like they came and saw my act
Oh.
at the comedy club, which was called Yuck Yucks Comedy Cabaret in Toronto.
Yucks. Was it in Vancouver?
No, that's the offshoot.
Oh, I used to go to Yuck
original
Yucks in
was
Vancouver.
Yuck Yucks in Toronto on Bay Street. Mark Breslin started
And they closed
it.
down the one in Vancouver now.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, that got me excited.
Yeah. Well, I played that Yuck Yucks in my time, but this woman Arlene Berman, who was the casting director, saw me, and it's funny. All my discoverers are women. I owe my career to wonderful women who saw something in me, and this woman Arlene Berman saw me do my act, and she saw all the impressions I did, and they kind of wrote around it a little bit, and I came in and did my first voiceover there at 19 or 20 years old.
Yeah,
and it was like you must have felt this.
That's great.
First time you saw your voice
Oh, yeah.
come out of saw and heard come out of an animated mouth the way you heard Fred Flintstone when you were a kid.
Right.
And you didn't imagine there was a real person there, and then you saw Alan Reed in an episode of the Beverly Hillbillies, and you go, why does his voice sound so familiar? And
That's true, isn't it?
That's who Fred Flintstone really is.
Yes,
and
yes.
I had that moment of lifting of going, this is like the closest thing to magic I'll ever experience. Me as a cartoon character. And then nothing happened for 5 years. I moved here, did stand up at the Comedy Store. We got very lucky to follow Rodney Dangerfield around and be his opening act for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And do
That
the
must have been
comedy
terrible.
clubs. It was a real education, man. He was great. He wasn't like, Mr. Positivity or anything like that.
That's what I
But
heard.
he really keyed you into the reality of show business. And, because he'd be like, man, I'll tell you what, man. As long as, I'll tell you what, you put asses in seats, you can sleep with the Chamber of Commerce's daughters, all of them. And they love you, man. They love you because you're bringing money in, And he just had like little homilies and life lessons like that for this naive young guy from Toronto.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey and me both were like his proteges. He took much more to Jim and really stayed in touch with Jim all the way to the end. But
Well, he's doing well, I heard.
Jim's great. Yeah, Jim's doing all right. Actually, he almost ended up in voiceover. The best thing that could have happened to him was that he didn't end up on Inspector Gadget.
And he also didn't end up Bonkers.
Oh, was he up for Bonkers?
He was up for I'll tell you, I'll have to throw this out there. I hope I didn't repeat this too much, but this is back right after Roger Rabbit was
I remember Bonkers, yeah.
And,
I was on it.
And what's that?
I was on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had a whole bunch I was a weasel, and we spent the whole night in Griffith Park, me and Bob Hoskins, getting to know each other and hanging out. They cut the whole damn thing. But they kept bullet number 2 in Yosemite Sam's gun.
Oh, right.
Yosemite Sam, So I ended up in it. But yeah, it was great. And I forgot where I was going with that.
Oh, well, because that was the theory that there was a real world and a cartoon world.
Yes.
And where Bonkers may have missed the mark is they tried to show us the real world drawn, and that you can't. You're going, but that's not the real world because they're drawn.
It's just they're drawn. Yeah,
and you were telling your Jim Carrey story.
It was. The thing is, it after ridiculous. We had so many callbacks they had to pay us.
Yeah.
Because they had literally hundreds of people auditioned.
Yeah.
And the last 3 were Matt. Oh gosh, Max Headroom. Matt Frewer. Matt Frewer.
I know all the Canadians, baby.
Yeah.
All of them by heart.
And there you go. And Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And me. And we're all sitting there looking at each other, and Jim's sitting there. And he was on television. He was a big star.
He was already on Mad TV at that point.
Yeah,
right?
He was there. He was ready to kick butt. And he went in first. Jim Carrey. So he goes in. This won't take long. And he goes in, and obviously he did whatever it is he did. And he comes out, and he reaches over, grabs his suitcase, and goes, "Gentlemen, you may leave." And then he walked away.
But I know Jim would have said that, archly and in pure comedic spirit.
It was fun. It was a joke. It was a joke. And then I kicked his ass.
There you go. Well, Coleman, our pal Townie Coleman, beat him out for the part of Corporal Cape Man, a new character they added to the second season of Inspector Gadget, midway through as like a young sidekick, and Marcia Goodman, another of my another woman who
I was going to
my
mention
discoverer,
Deke.
Nina Nissenholt's first agent to take me on. Marcia Goodman put me in Gadget and Real Ghostbusters and just about everything Deke did. Mm-hmm. I owe that woman my career.
Oh yeah.
But she said, it came down to Townie and Jim Carrey, and if Jim had gotten like too comfortable in voiceovers, he might never have gone after the on-camera thing as hard as he did.
Yeah, that's true.
And he went hard, and he, God bless him, he just really took off. And
Boy, you're not kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing ride for him. But we've all had amazing rides. If you're keeping your head above water in this business, if you're, paying all your bills by doing some form of entertainment, you're a winner. Then it's only degrees of the 1%.
Oh, I agree.
So
I could not agree more.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm ever so grateful that this thing found me, because I was going for the stand-up comedy and I was going for the sitcom.
I remember
with my name in the title.
I remember. Well, the first time I saw
LaMarchefeld. Everybody tolerates Mo. I mean, these were going to be the shows.
Everybody tolerates Mo. But the first time I saw you, you weren't in the room. You were on a television. Oh. And you were selling me Fuji video cassettes.
Right.
Video cassettes. Well, folks, for you kids that don't know what those are.
Yeah.
Anyway. And Mo, you were touting them, and you were going, and you were dashing, and you Mr. Leading Man, and
the premise was that it was a stand-up comic in front of a brick wall.
Yeah.
But it happened to be the Fuji Comedy Club.
Yes.
It had the Fuji,
right.
It's still the logo that they have. And, I'm just standing there talking to a comedy club full of people and doing rapid fire impressions as though I'm like a channel changer. You're just going from one channel to the other. I'm Scotty. Captain, I'm giving it full power and it's still holding together. Oh, it's a demanding job, and I'm just cutting back and forth with characters, rapid fire. And that commercial, that series of commercials won a Clio. I didn't, but it won it for the ad agency.
I think
Lord Geller, Federico, and Einstein, which I don't think exists.
You were a little instrumental, I dare say.
Well, it was a cattle call. They told me they read over 300 comics.
Wow.
And I remember going to the thing, and Saget and Coulier were coming out of it.
Bob Saget and Dave Coulier.
Yeah, Bob Saget and Dave Coulier.
Just so you know.
Were coming out, and so I mean, I was like, I don't know how I was shot. These guys are more famous than me.
Oh yeah,
But I ended up with it, and that was an amazing little run. Yeah. And then I lost it. I lost it by being too generous. My manager said, I was opening for George Carlin.
Wow.
In Vegas. And there was a big, whatever the...
How long was your set? How long?
My set was
curious.
We were timed in at a very tight 22 minutes. Which was perfect for an opening act in Vegas. And so I'm opening, and then, it used to be, it was always be a music act and a comedy act. They never the twain shall meet. But Joan Rivers and David Brenner changed that by going out as a double. They would flip to see who went on first. So they had equal billing, and they would flip. And all of a sudden they went, you know what? Comedy opening for comedy works. So I opened for Rodney, as I told you, with that. And then
that's crazy.
And then I got the gig opening for George Carlin, and my manager said, all the Fuji people are in town. There's a big advertising convention in Vegas. Let's invite them to come out and see you. So, my contract was up for renewal. Let's keep the good feelings flowing. Yeah. They come out to the show. I open for George. George goes on. And the next thing I know, George Carlin is the new spokesman for Fuji Videotape, because their tagline was, put the good stuff on the good stuff. That was what it was in my commercials. So then now the new commercials are George going, hey, man, we all got our stuff that we love to videotape. Put the good stuff on the good stuff, man. Fuji Videotape. And I was like, why did I have to invite them? Because, one of them, the creative, sat there and went, stuff. That's right. That's all he does.
Wait a minute. That's his shtick.
I mean, forget the impressionist guy. We get Carlin.
Yeah.
That was again a nice little run, and no bitterness there.
Yeah, hardly at all. Here, there you go.
Was this before or after the all-night show? Because the premise for
Oh
the
my
commercials
gosh, the all-night show.
kind of sounds similar. You know, you were doing the
Yeah, it was totally
Impressions.
different than the all night show. But I'm amazed, boy. That's like that's the thing. We go, how the hell do you know about the all night show?
Whoa.
That was another thing Jim Carrey and I shared. We would do the lip overs. They before Conan O'Brien did it.
Lip overs.
Chaz Lawther and Jeff Silverman in Toronto at a little station called Channel 47 pretty much gave us what Nick and Night now is. TV stations, kids, I know you'll find this hard to believe,
Yes.
actually went off the air. Sometimes at midnight, sometimes at 1. But it would just, they'd give you the national anthem, and then you'd just see what they called a test pattern and a tone.
Yes.
And that was to wake you up in case you fell
Did you
asleep
guys
with the
have,
TV on.
Did you guys have what was your picture? What was?
Oh, yeah,
'cause
the Indian.
Oh, you did.
Oh,
too?
the Canadians had the Indian.
Okay.
Too. Well, yeah.
Curious.
We're
Just
not
had to
discriminate.
ask.
Yeah. The
'Cause,
Native American.
what's
Yeah,
the
the
picture?
Native American.
It's like a concentric circle or
Yeah.
target, and then
Almost
at the
like
top
a
is
sort
an
of a
American
compass
Indian.
or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
But it was just, and that was the way
And
to
that's what you
test
saw.
the focus, at the station to make sure that the signal was transmitting because there were a bunch of fine lines in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you got from 2 to 6 a.m. when the farm show came on. So
Yeah, that's right.
we had this. So Jeff Silverman, entrepreneur that he was, he thought about what if we did an all night show, and the premise was the security guard who's got the overnight shift decides to flip the switch back on and put on old Dick Van Dyke shows and old Outer Limits shows and old Alfred Hitchcocks.
Wow, that's
with
right.
little link ups in the control room. And he's a wonderful stand-up comedian and improviser named Chaz Lawther who did this. And it was because it did require a lot of improvisation. And he would literally do the show all night dressed as Chuck the security guard. And
That's great.
we had these little wonderful blackouts, and one of them was the lip overs. We take a still of Peter Falk,
Yeah.
and then they'd do a chyron or whatever, and black out his lips, and I'd be on a separate camera, and
Like
I'd
Clutch
step in,
Cargo.
the Clutch Cargo effect, and I'd be like, "Sir, I don't know about you, but I think Chuck the security guard's doing a great job." And it would be, the effect would be, oh my God. I mean, if you could keep your head stock still, that was the key.
Yes.
Even less than the impression, so that you didn't have a mouth moving around on somebody's face.
Right. That's one of the first things I remember about you. We were over at the old B&B,
Right.
And you were sitting there. We both had black hair.
Yep.
And there was something over, and somebody had encouraged. I just walked in on it, and next thing I know, you're sitting there and you're doing the eye, and the next thing there's Peter Falk. I can't do it, and I'm going, who the hell is this guy? And you were just slaying everybody in the room. It was like people are going,
Well, that was the 10 years of stand-up.
Huzzah,
That was,
huzzah.
stand-up really, was, a training ground
Hell of a
for
proving
comedic
ground for
timing for me to bring it into cartoons, because
Sure.
I got to do a lot of, the funny ha-ha cartoons, as opposed to the toy commercial cartoons or I was just talking to my agent, Natanya, today about, like, I'd love to do a Batman. I'd love to do, some of the superhero stuff coming out. And, is it that they only think of me as a shtickmeister, as a comedy guy? And, she's going, no. And she's right. I have read for those things. I just can't seem to click with the straight stuff. So, I that's on my wish list. Casting directors who may be tuning in. I want to be serious.
well, they all watch this. You know that.
Oh yeah,
They're all riveted as we speak.
we speak.
they're-
Casting directors all over
rivet.
Vineland Avenue.
Yeah. Oh man.
So it seems like impersonations and impressions have been a big part of your career, no?
Yes,
Because you got to do a lot of
because I
impressions
hate myself.
on the Critic as
Yes.
well.
Oh, the Critic.
Yeah.
Critic was.
You got to do a
probably-
lot.
Talk about doing. I mean, brilliant writing. The Critic was, like doing rep theater. I got to play so many people in one episode. I mean, there's one episode I think I played 29 people.
Dang.
Holy.
Celebrities, street characters, because it takes place in New York.
The word for
So
that is
you-
ka-ching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
because they
Go
have to
ahead.
pay you for
Yeah.
multiple
Didn't
people,
want
right?
to interrupt you, but ka-ching.
Ching.
Go ahead.
You always wanted a multiple of 3 too.
Yeah,
you know?
and you're only looking for 3.
Yeah.
4?
But
Ooh.
the 4 it doubles. Yeah, and then but at 6 they get it for the same price as 4. But if you go to 7, then it triples. You know, it's like.
And you went to 11.
I would go to 11 most episodes. I would go to bloody 11. So, by the way, what's the language thing on this? We're keeping the language.
It fluctuates.
Yes,
It fluctuates.
Free, yeah.
Do you bleep or
No.
no? So if I let
Yes.
an S bomb go, or
There's been S bombs. There's
Or
been
a-
F bombs.
well, shit like that.
what
we don't
about
put
a
up
what
with.
about a P bomb? Like if I say poo poo, is that going to be bad?
We might have to.
God.
YouTube's pretty
apologize.
strict these days.
All right.
We might have to beep that one. out.
So anyway,
man
the
is a
Critic was
fiend.
amazing. Getting to work. I mean, I grew up watching Taxi, Mary Tyler Moore, and there was always this laugh from the studio audience that sounded like this. Ah, ah, ah. And that was the laugh of James L. Brooks, who was the co-creator of these shows and the executive producer. And suddenly I'm sitting there, and I didn't put two and two together. We did our first table read for the Critic, and I let go with whatever the impression was, did the line, and I hear, ah, and we go, oh my God, I'm making like the legend laugh, the guy from my television set.
Yeah.
And so
that's
to get
great.
to work with that writing staff, Judd Apatow. Judd Apatow was on the writing staff there.
Wow.
Patrick Verone, head of the writer, future president of the Writers Guild. Steve Levitan, creator of Modern Family. These guys were all, our writing staff, not to mention Mike Reese and Al Jean, who co-created the show. And Al Jean's still on this. So is Mike, on The Simpsons.
Wow.
So, getting to perform great writing, has been a really beautiful thing. And to be so many characters for those people. It was really
no
great.
kidding.
And to work with John Lovitz. Lovitz is just so free-flowing and so in his sense of play with the character and being just being.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Yeah,
I was gonna say he seems like he'd be a funny guy in person.
he is, and yet he's not. He's not
Like always on. Yeah.
but he vibrates at funny. So even when he's kind of being serious, you can get there's some humor there in that fourth string of.
Well, I do watch Funny You Should Ask, and he just kills it.
Yeah, he's great.
He really does.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he took me under his wing, and so we would go to McDonald's afterwards, and he'd get recognized. While we're in McDonald's, and and he'd go, "Well, Maurice, that's what fame is. Still want it? It's like,
You still want it?
fame means interrupted dinners. That's really what fame is. I don't mind my anonymity in this business quite so much. So turn that camera off. I don't want people knowing what I look like,
That's right.
bothering me in McDonald's.
Do you have a favorite impression to do?
Oh, I love doing Orson Welles. We've already covered that.
Yeah.
Or did we? Did we get it though?
You got it. I think you got it. You were rolling. Are you going to cut in? Are you going to come in the middle of that? Is that how we're going to start?
Yeah, that's gonna cover.
All right,
that's gonna be
good.
an intro.
Sorry, Orson, would you, sorry, go ahead.
Roll it around, and I have no more time. You don't know what I'm up against because it's full of things that are only correct because they're grammatical, but they're tough on the ear. You see, this is a very wearying one. It's unpleasant to read,
Oh, God.
unrewarding.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that we've done together out of the 8 million, and I want to say I think it was Animaniacs. It was, Pinky and the Brain, certainly.
Right, where Brain meets Orson Welles.
Brain and Orson Welles run into
the same room. Yeah, it's one of those anachronistic episodes where it takes place in the 40s or the 30s.
It was wonderful, and I got to play Orson,
really?
Orson, and he was of course Brain, who
And
was a
Brain
knockoff
sounds
of-
like Orson.
Wait, so
I mean,
what's that sound?
I modeled
Exactly.
Brain
Yeah,
on Orson Welles.
For sure.
I can remember we sort of noticed we came into each other's radar or ether or whatever, and I ended up wanting to meet this.
I want to hear your Orson Welles.
So it was.
Well, hello there, my little friend. Wells, Orson,
And
I
you said
brain, the.
yeah.
And then we both said, one day we'll show them. One day we'll take
rule
over the
the
world.
world.
Yeah. It was fun. That was a fun episode.
And I think we just did it again.
Oh, that's great.
And you were there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I love those little Easter eggs that animation tends to do, I think, more than, well, not even more, but in a different way than live action. You know, they'll have little Easter eggs of, you know, cameos and stuff in live action. But I love, there was one, and I think it was an episode of Bonkers. It was like a concert anyway. And one of the announcers, he's reading off like the list of nominees, you know?
Yeah.
He's reading off the list of nominees at an award show, and one of them is Jim Cummings. And it just cracks me up how they put these little things
Jim
in.
Cummings, yes.
Yes. I got,
There's an episode of Futurama where Bender goes into hiding. He's on the run from the robot mafia. And he goes to, so the gang goes to the moon, and it turns out Bender has a doppelganger on the moon. Yeah. But they think that Bender's like, this is where he's in the witness protection program. So they keep, Bender, it's us. And so
that was pretty good.
And Bender goes, and I don't do a good Bender nor a good Fry, but he goes, Bender, I don't know Bender. My name's Billy West. And then Fry, played by Bill Lewis, goes, Billy West, what a stupid made up name. You know, I mean, I love that.
That was a good Fry.
That was a good one. Yes, it was. They
Watch
were
out,
both
Billy.
good.
Stay healthy,
Billy.
mother. Yeah,
Oh, man.
That's funny.
You better watch his ass.
that's right.
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
Futurama's
Watch your ass.
such a great show. You played so many characters on that show, huh?
I've been lucky to somebody with a lot more time on his hands than me counted all the characters that people have played on Futurama.
Oh, wow.
And this was still when it was in its first run. There've been characters added, but they counted that Billy had done like 54. You know, plus he's carrying the weight of the show. He's playing, you know, the three of the characters that are in the main family of the show, the chosen family, the workplace family of the show. But I with my tertiary and secondary characters, I had a count of 72.
Jeez.
72 characters that were either one-offs or, you know, Tress MacNeille, 74.
No kidding.
Yeah, she's the most prolific performer on
She's
Futurama.
she's Tress.
She's Tress.
Yeah.
She is a.
You don't even have to say her last name. That's how you know you're.
So that means there's been almost 200 Futurama character voices on this podcast.
Yes. Absolutely.
All three of you have been on it.
Oh, wow. You had Tress on? I missed that episode.
Yeah.
I will go back for it.
Coming to a.
You got Tress to leave her house. That's pretty impressive. But then again, you are you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. So, the Futurama's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, and getting to work with everybody associated with that show, some of whom came over from the Critic days. And of course, you know, getting to know Matt and getting to work for Matt Groening, who's a genius, is unbelievable.
for sure.
And not to mention Billy and Dave Herman and John DiMaggio and Katie Segal and our beloved Tress and Lauren Tom and Phil LaMarche.
Sure.
I mean, these are all A-list people in our business, and some beyond our business. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that you know, to get that much of a core cast of great people.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's playing jazz. It's playing jazz with the best.
Speaking of crazy casts, I was, you know, just perusing through your career, and the original animated Transformers had another just huge lineup of voice actors from that. I mean, both of you, obviously.
Yeah.
Both of you.
I was in the very last episode. I got
that's cool.
did one episode. They created this character called Six Gun, kind of a Yosemite Sam, but really serious character, you know, voice. And that was it. That was my one flirtation with the original Transformers.
Yeah.
In and out. Yeah. Pretty.
Yeah, but that's a nice little feather. I snuck into a few of those myself.
Yeah. There's a whole con involved with that called BotCon, where that's all they want to know about is Transformers stuff.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Never heard of that one.
BotCon.
So many conventions these days. They have conventions for everything.
Literally. And you know, I mean, one could literally carve out a second career doing cons. Oh, wait a second, I have.
Wait a minute, too late. Yeah, I think I'm already there.
Yeah.
You are too.
Yeah.
The thing that blows my mind at conventions is when you see some of the guests are cosplayers. I'm like, whoa. Like,
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the lineup of the guests at the conventions,
Because
it'll be like
there's
so-and-so cosplay.
There's gradations, there's echelons, and there are some of these
Absolutely.
cosplayers who achieve a level of artistry that they deserve to be
Phenomenal.
there and have
Yeah.
their own booth and meet
Phenomenal.
people. You know, I mean, and then there's people that tape a picture of the brain to their forehead, and that they drew on a napkin, and then
The Peter Griffin guy.
The Peter Griffin guy. How the heck did he?
Now that's amazing.
That's
I know.
totally amazing.
I know.
He is. It's like genetically he was programmed to look like a character who
Yes.
wouldn't be drawn for 40 years after 40 years after his birth.
Yeah.
I mean, or whatever. I'm sure he's younger than that, but I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
That was I've met
amazing.
him a couple times, and,
Yeah.
and then you go, wow, hi.
He's got the voice down too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the beauty of it. He's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the voice down.
Oh God.
If they ever do Family Guy the musical, I mean, it goes to him.
No, they're going to go to like Jonah Hill or something just to piss him off.
John would have to regain all his weight. He's done well. He's taken it all off.
That's true. That's true. He has. He has.
I'm sure you enjoy these conventions that we do.
I do.
occasionally.
I do. Invariably, I mean, I enjoy from the second I sit down in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Everything leading up to that, the flights, the airport, the packing the luggage. Did I bring enough pictures? Is the guguy here at the to drive?
Yes.
Where is the guy? Why here to drive us?
Then you
All
see
that stuff. That's what I
line
feel
of
like.
people.
That's what I get paid for that stuff.
Yeah.
Once I sit down at my booth and start meeting people, then that's the fun part.
Then you're good to go.
I'm good to go. I love that.
Yeah. I have to agree.
And invariably, you know this.
Yeah.
You hear a story, at least once a con,
Oh yeah.
where they talk about the day they were, it was the hardest day of their life.
Oh, I know.
Maybe they were even thinking of doing themselves in, and they sat down and watched Darkwing Duck, and they got a laugh.
Yeah.
And the laugh generated enough, oxytocin in their brain to, bring them back to their senses.
Yeah.
And they tell me these stories, and I go, "Why are you telling me about Darkwing Duck? Jim Cummings is right over there. Go thank him. Leave me alone. No,
Leave me alone.
leave me alone."
Yeah.
Anyway, gang.
Pooh gets a lot of that. God
Yeah, I
bless.
bet Pooh does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
he gets a lot
you
of that.
are the voice of so many people's childhood. I mean, true childhood, not the adolescence, not the coming home after a tough day in junior high. You get them when they're soft and cuddly, and then you literally with your voice cuddle them.
And I never let them go. That's right.
That's right. You got them, baby.
Yeah.
The
Well,
younger
thanks.
the younger we get them.
Yeah. Keep them on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
It's
Well, they want Pooh to. They want to be. It's like, what would Pooh do? That's the. That should be the bumper sticker.
yeah. Oh.
What character
would
do
Pooh
people?
do?
Sorry. Didn't interrupt.
I was
Sorry about
writing
that.
that down. What would Pooh,
What would
got
Pooh
it.
do?
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. You don't need to cut me in on the profits at all on that. You just take it. It's fine.
I was just curious what character people come up to you the most for.
Oh, Brain, followed closely by Egon from the Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Every con has a Ghostbusters.
Was that the one you did the
chapter.
theme song for?
Yeah.
The Real
Yeah,
Ghostbusters?
I sang your theme song. Extreme Ghostbusters.
Oh, Extreme Ghostbusters. Yes.
When there's something strange. In the
Oh, that was you.
That was
did a
me.
Nice job with that.
Yep. I sneak in here and there.
Yeah. You're in the theme
Unannounced.
song. You're in the Pinky and the Brain theme song too, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Oh, God. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Apparently I sing.
Yeah.
But
and apparently I don't, because that's why I'm in no
you
theme
know,
songs.
I can tell you that was me, Dorian Harewood, and was Cam there? Oh, that's terrible. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But I remember they were just sitting around, and we were all there, and they go, "Well, we need something for the theme song. Jim, you want to sing the theme song?" And and
You sang the bass part, right?
and they asked me to, who else can I get? And I said, well, how about, we were just done the California Raisins.
Oh, right.
And Dorian was one of them, and I was one of them. So myself, I think Cam Clark and Dorian
I can hear you. Like when I listen to the song, I can hear
and
the brain. That's my Jim Cummings.
Then you hear the narf.
Yes, Robbie got in there with the narf.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was narf, wherever
song.
that came from.
Yeah, no, it's cool. What did you ask?
I just asked about what your most popular character
so
was.
it's Brain followed by Egon. That's what I was going to tell you, because there's popping up almost as often as there are cities with cons. There are chapters of Ghostbusters. They call themselves Ghost Heads.
Oh boy!
And
that's big time stuff.
These men and women, they go all the way. They have an ecto. They sure do. They refurbish an older car.
They have the full backpacks.
They create their backpacks. It's like a Jedi, creating his own lightsaber. Their backpacks all work, and they have the sound effects. But what these people do is they do charity events. They go around to children's hospitals.
Oh wow!
They do anything that's going to bring some smiles to kids' faces. And I so am flattered they want to come see me, but I make sure to let them know they're the real heroes. They're the ones that are out there, boots on the ground. And slime in there, slime dripping off the boots.
That's right.
Ectoplasm dripping off their boots. Spreading joy in the world. And they flatter me by saying, well, and I hate saying it, I feel almost like I'm blaspheming. They say, well, you're my Egon. You're the Egon I grew up on. I didn't see the Ghostbusters movies until after I was older, and I saw the TV show. And I was doing my best Harold Ramis impression. Harold Ramis, Harold created those characters with Dan Aykroyd, and I'm just, I was just lucky to kind of stand on the shoulders of a giant, But these guys are doing a lot of good. These guys and gals are doing a lot of good out there in the world, in their communities, and so for me, Egon, the next most requested, and
rightly so.
Yeah, and I just get so much out of knowing that these folks are doing good in the name of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Now, because these were such popular shows and popular characters, I want to rewind back to the time when they first started airing. Did you notice your life changing in that moment? Like, as the shows are coming out, as they're so popular, was there like a shift in your life? Or
well, I could make rent. I was no longer struggling.
It was just strictly
always a good
money.
sign.
Yeah, I was like, it's like, oh wow. You mean I sit, and they
Just
don't make me
talking to-
memorize. They set up a music stand, and I read the words as though it's a radio play, and then I get a check that, one check is my rent. And then if we do several, episodes in a session, oh wow, I've got now I can
buy groceries and everything.
I used to do the Comedy Store for $25 a set, just to see if I could just make, you get
Is
in
that
enough
right?
to make
No
rent.
kidding. And that would be what year?
It was like 80, 81.
Yeah.
It was just after the comedians strike, where
I didn't even know there was one.
there was a big Comedy Store strike, and the comedians went on strike to get paid because they used to go on for free.
Well, those were dark times.
Well,
There's nothing funny about it.
Yeah,
damn it.
well, there was a darkness because one of the comedians suicided.
Ooh.
The Grand Hyatt, the Hyatt was right next door, and this guy Greg Lubetkin threw himself off the Hyatt, literally trying to hit the Comedy Store with his body.
Oh.
And that brought an end to the strike, and everybody realized, this is serious stuff. So yeah, from that day on, spots were even more coveted because you could, gas money, rent money, and
Heck yeah.
at the time when I was starting, like rent was, like $250 a month.
$300.
So you could make your rent by doing 20 spots, at the store, and it was, God, I think of how easy that was. How easy, and it's so much easier was for us in our day to just make the daily expenses, as opposed to what it is now for kids who are the equivalent age. The 3 and 4s of them are teaming up to share an apartment.
Yeah.
Because the rent on a 1-bedroom apartment is $3,000 a month at the time we record this.
Yeah.
It's like, the dollar buys less, and There's less of it.
That's for
I
sure.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
wow.
And it's harder to get.
Yeah. Yeah, harder than ever.
You know, I remember when I had my first job, it was Dumbo Circus. I was Lionel the Lion. And it was on this fledgling channel, Disney Channel.
I remember it.
And I bought Gordon Hunt, the great Gordon Hunt.
Yeah.
From Hanna-Barbera fame.
Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera. Yes, and Helen Hunt's dad. God
Helen Hunt's
bless.
dad.
He wrote a book, How to Break into Show Business. And I remember, and we were already doing Dumbo Circus, thank goodness. And look, it's a book that says how to break into show business. So I got it, and I'm reading it, and I think the fourth or fifth chapter was a voiceover. And here's an aspect of show business that you may not have thought of. It's called voiceover.
Right.
And whenever you hear a radio commercial, that's voiceover.
Yeah.
TV commercial, the guy who's saying, now available in suppository form. He's doing voiceover. Every cartoon, voiceover.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what's this say? Don't bother. This entire area of show business is captured by about a half dozen people, and they live in Southern California. You don't, so go to the next chapter, forget it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was about that long.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, you can look it up, guys. And I'm so glad I didn't read that before I got my first job.
Right.
Because I figured, well, this guy knows.
Once you get your first gig, at least that's the way it was in our day.
Yeah.
If you did your first gig and you showed up on time, you didn't cause any trouble, and you were kind of a pleasure to work with, which is probably the most important piece of advice if I did a workshop, which I don't, because I don't know how to teach this. I don't know how to.
I don't either.
I don't know how to. I mean, there are wonderful colleagues of ours who do. You know, Bob Bergen has a tremendous class that he teaches, and so does Richie Horvitz. But I don't know how to. But if there was a lesson I would teach, it would be on time, and be a pleasure to work with. Don't be any trouble. Just more than that. You know, you don't have to suck up. Just be a pleasure. Don't give anybody problems. And that's
now, would that constitute your advice?
Once you get and then do the voices. Mm-hmm. But once you show up and show you can do that, the voiceover business is hungry for more like you, and work begets work. I mean, I went from
that's right.
You know, Inspector Gadget playing the chief, which again, thank God for Marsha.
Can you give us some?
Yep. The
Can
chief?
you give us some of Inspector?
That was so long ago. The chief,
No, I mean
Chief Quimby was, "Here's your assignment, Gadget," and then it would blow up in his face.
Yeah.
And Don Adams, I worked with the original. I worked with Don, and Don Adams, in the '60s, it was a show called Get Smart. You could still stream it, and to me, one of the most brilliant sitcoms.
Would you
of all
believe
time.
it's still funny?
Would you believe it's still funny? And so I got to work with Don, and we did 22 episodes, and then a couple of movies, a couple of TV. There was one, and when Gadget went back in time, that would be another voice for Don, because his deal said if you paid him another, if he had to play another character, if you doubled him, you had to double his salary, and I think he was getting something like $20,000 an episode. He was a big TV star, and
damn is right.
And so if Gadget went back in time and met his ancestor,
ka-ching.
Guess who played it? Because they didn't want to give Don another $20,000 an episode.
Oh, really?
So I would play, ancient Roman Gadget.
Oh, wow, that's
or
interesting.
cave Gadget. Kachanga banga hunga takanga. Or if Gadget went scuba diving, Don said, I can't do that with the lips. It makes me hot. Get Mo to do it. So I would go Gadget scuba diving.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
the international
Don
way to
told
be
me
underwater.
once. He said, I used to think Bill Dana did Maxwell Smart better than anybody else, but you're actually the best Maxwell Smart. And
wow,
I
that's
said,
pretty
well,
good.
Thank you very much. So when he retired, he actually handed me the job on a silver platter. If there were to be more Inspector Gadgets, he said, Get Mo to do me, you know. So
That's
so
cool.
Dee came to me, and I played Gadget for an entire series called Gadget and the Gadgetinis. 2 TV movies, two direct-to-video movies, Gadget's Last Caper and Gadget's Greatest Caper Ever. And I was the first on-camera Inspector Gadget because Don didn't want to do it. Remember a show called the Super Mario Brothers Super Show back in like 1990?
Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah. Captain Lou Albano. And I can't remember the other actor's name. Danny...
Elfman?
No,
No,
he's
just-
a Montreal actor. Very, very good comedic actor. God, I wish I could remember his name. Phone in if you remember his name. Or look it up on your iPhone, on the supercomputer that's the size of a pack of cigarettes.
Right. That's right.
We're all carrying around.
What are cigarettes?
Yeah. Does anybody smoke cigarettes anymore?
I hope not.
My gosh. So anyway, and Don didn't want to do it because it was kind of physical. You know, Gadget had to fall. He had to slide down a slide.
That's true.
So again, he said, "Get Mo to do it." So I was the first on-camera Inspector
So
Gadget.
you were the fall guy of voiceover.
Exactly. And so, but except there was no Heather Thomas on the set, unfortunately. That was the episode. I did 2 episodes on camera as Don Adams, as Go Gadget Lex.
Oh, that brings me back. That is so perfect.
It was great because Don Adams gave us another guy giving us an education. You know, Frank Welker and I Frank educated me. Doing this show and then Real Ghostbusters was a masterclass. I would just sit next to Frank and, you know, he'd show me, you know, all these techniques for emoting without making any noise. This is technique. This is an actual technique that we need to know
say
in
it
our
again.
business.
Doing what without any noise?
Emoting without making noise, like how to avoid clothing noise. You know, how to turn the page to get a 4-page run without.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
See, I had to learn all by myself.
Yeah.
You had a
I had
master
Welkman.
technique. Yeah.
I had the Welk man. He taught me everything. And
yeah, he's the dean of our
another guy, like, you know, I
profession.
can truly say, owe him my career, you know.
Yeah.
Right in the same breath with Marcia Goodman. It was between the two of them. I just like, I get it now.
That was my impression of. Do you remember that? The little DIC. It would come up at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And I go, it really just says
That was Andy
DIC.
Hayward's kid.
Oh, really?
It was Andy Hayward's little boy that did that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching for the kid.
Yeah.
So
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, that's like, you know, everybody's, you know, talk about your
Nepotism?
you know, your nepo babies. Between that and Robert Altman getting his son to write the lyrics, his 13-year-old son wrote the lyrics to the theme to MASH, Suicide is Painless. He wrote the lyrics. I think he was 13. He may have been 18. I'm not sure. Somewhere in there. But that kid wrote, "Suicide is painless. It brings on many changes. And I can take or leave it if I please." Something only a depressed teenager could write.
Yeah, I was.
He made
I
more
never
money.
liked it.
He made more money from MASH, the TV show, the movie, than his father did for having directed the movie and whatever rights he may have had. Because even if they played the instrumental, if you recorded if you wrote the lyric, you made money.
Wow.
Yeah, Gene Roddenberry. There's lyrics to Star Trek. The song, there's actual lyrics. So
I
Roddenberry
didn't know
wrote
that.
lyrics
What
to
are
that
they?
song.
And of course, you know.
Yeah, and he could, so he ka-chinged it. He ka-chinged it, every time,
I didn't
it
know
was on in
that.
syndication. Not only did he get his producer's fee, but he also got something from ASCAP or BMI for having written the lyrics to Star Trek.
Wow. And if Shatner were here, could he sing that song? Would he know? Would he know the lyrics?
I believe he could. Star Trek. Do 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 do. Star Trek. Do 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 do. And Star Trek. I don't know what the words are.
Yeah. Oh man, that belongs in the Smithsonian.
It really does. This conversation belongs in the Smithsonian.
I
having so much
agree.
fun here.
I couldn't agree.
And yet there's so much information.
Yeah, that's right.
All of it made up by
Or
me.
is it disinformation? Well, you know,
Or dad information.
one of our favorite things that we did out of the hundreds was good old Tasmania, and you got to be my dad.
Blah, 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 yakety schmackety, son. I don't know. He sure looks like a dog. He's got stinky breath.
Yeah, he sure has a way with getting that, licking himself.
Yeah.
There's
You had a turtle that you thought was a dog.
Yes, that was Rob.
And Robbie was the
Dog
turtle.
the turtle.
Dog the turtle.
Or was it Dog the turtle or
Turtle the dog? I don't know. It was Dog the turtle.
I think it was,
Because we weren't denying the reality that he really was a turtle, and that Taz was so out of touch that he thought that a turtle could be his dog.
He bought it.
God, those sessions were so much fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They may not have had the Spielbergian imprimatur on them, but because that was the era when everything was Steven Spielberg presents Animaniacs, Steven Spielberg presents Tiny Toons, Steven Spielberg presents Mickey and the Brain, and then there was this thing called Tasmania, which dared to examine the home life of the Tasmanian Devil, and it was hilarious. It was sitcom level writing.
I agree.
And
Art Vitello.
We had Art
who
Vitello.
else? Mark Zaslav was in there.
I think so.
And we
just
Ed
but
Wexler.
the thing is, it was so much fun. Oh. It was the way to close out our week. Yeah. We would all meet up at the studio, and we come in one of the few things I came in early for, because it was comic book day.
Yes.
And we went and got our comic books.
So true.
Whether we went to Golden Apple or the store ABC and the comics in the Valley.
And Art would always check out. So what'd you get?
What'd you get? And then we'd I didn't pick up the X-Men. You'd have comics I didn't have, and and we just sort through. Got it, need it, got it, and just shoot the breeze for an hour, and that put us in the mood for comedy, for going in there and just it was so no pressure. It was all let's just have fun.
I just loved it. It was like great. A golden era for me.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad. And we did 65.
65 of them.
That was
and I think they're on either Tubi.
Yeah, it's got to be.
You can stream it right now. You can stream down in Tasmania.
It's on something that doesn't pay much, folks. Yeah. It's on that
But
channel.
You know what? It's okay because it's living on in a way that, as Robbie says, Who's Cooking the Soup, a cartoon show, a sitcom from the 1990s isn't.
Yeah.
Nobody's streaming She's the Sheriff, but they're still streaming, They're still streaming Tasmania.
And
somebody's
rightly
watching
so.
it and saying that those are the voices of my childhood.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you were channeling your inner
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
Well, the joke of it was that here's Taz. We only met him in how many
I think it was
WB cartoons?
3,
Six?
maybe
3,
tops.
6? And so, but yet he was such a memorable character, even off those 3.
Yeah.
Everybody remember, they'd go, who was the character that spun like a tornado and was trying to destroy bugs, in the Tasmania, the Tasmanian Devil. So they thought he's got the most normal family in the world.
Yes.
He has the typical sitcom family.
Jake's little brother.
His little brother, played by Debbie Derryberry. And his little sister
was, oh gosh.
Man, when seniors reminisce.
Yes.
Coming up next.
Oh my gosh.
She ended up on ER. She's such a wonderful little actor.
I know.
Sorry.
She was on.
I don't mean little. At the time she was little. She was like 13. So she was playing our tweenager, and she ended up being on ER.
Yeah, and she ended up. Yeah, she was on camera.
Yeah, on camera.
Yeah.
Playing a doctor, and I was so proud to have a daughter who became a doctor.
That's so true. The way I don't.
Are you looking it up, producer man?
I am.
Thank you.
Yes.
So
send your cards and letters in, folks, please.
As you watch us slowly go down
the memory lane,
memory
and then
loss,
memory
drain, we call it.
Memory drain.
Oh, spinning
that
around memory
right.
drain.
Yeah.
And then Miriam Flynn, wonderful Groundling actor as my totally normal wife.
Kelly Martin.
Kelly, we love you.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
We're just old men. That's the only reason. It's not that you weren't memorable. You were and
you
are.
were and
we
still are and stuff like that.
Yeah. But, we had, again, just such a party.
Yeah. Well, it was a good way. And I have to admit that I talked them into, can we do this on Friday afternoons? Because it gave me the weekend to heal. Because
Right.
Taz,
because you were
Taz was a
Taz was for you what Yosemite Sam was for me.
Yeah,
Only
there you
They
go.
wouldn't switch to Fridays.
That
for
sounds
me.
about right.
If I had to do a Yosemite Sam,
Yeah, but Taz
on
never
a
shut
Tuesday,
up.
it
That's
ruined me
why
for the rest of the episode. Perfect.
You know, like, you know, and fun trivia. I don't think we ever said this one.
What?
The we put the Taz in Tasmania. Ba 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 ba. We mean you. That the tag, you know, that little spin around was they took it from the audition.
Oh, really?
They took it from the audition. It was over at the Voice Caster.
I remember it well.
And Art Vitello, of course, was the genius behind it. And he said, okay, first thing, you have to give us the Taz spinning around and coming out of the thing into the spit. And so I went, and that's what they used.
They
used the audition.
Why not?
Yeah. So I
You were
thought,
great right out the gate with that.
okay.
character. Yeah.
You know, that kind of made my day.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten that until this very moment.
Yeah.
For a long time. I'll take it.
You just made me think of something. You know, you're talking about how it was different recording back in the day and, you know, it was fun and everything. I'm curious how, since Animaniacs was brought back in 2020, what was the dynamic shift, if any, working on that?
COVID did, you know, change the dynamic of the entire process.
So how did you
Because
record it?
we were actors who didn't work without each other. Robbie Paulson. I can't believe it's taken us this long to get to mentioning Robbie Paulson, but
Yeah.
Rob Paulson,
Who?
like a brother.
Oh, okay.
Like
No,
a brother to
I
me.
know who he is.
You know,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
would always do Pinky and the Brains together back
Sure.
in the OG show back in the 90s.
You were each half.
If one of us had a cold, they actually rescheduled the record of that episode until we were both well again, because it was so much the interplay of Pinky and the Brain. There was very little. Sometimes there were sessions where there was no other characters in the episode except the two of us.
Yeah.
So we went from that to recording the show in our closets at home, you know, our makeshift home
And
studios.
so they like send you a script and say, record this and send it
and I
back?
record my lines, and I just go, I need Rob here to annoy me. I need
Sure.
the Pinky, you know, that the
To make the-
clueless note that he brought to that character, so that I knew what level of irritation to play as the Brain. You know, and we didn't have that going through COVID, and then suddenly, you know, they were letting us back into studios, but masked, and we had to be in separate studios. I remember one time Rob and I passed each other in the hall. I was coming from the restroom. He was going to it. We were both in masks, and we just stopped and posed for a picture and said, you know, and I put it on Instagram. Don't tell them, you know. And then we went to our respective studios, and they actually set us up in studios where I could see him in a little bit in the window over in the corner there, and so there was enough there where we could do our interplay.
Yeah.
But it didn't. You know, we did maybe 3 sessions before this lockdown was called, and that was magic, and that was wonderful to get to play the characters, you know, together in a room.
Yeah.
And then
Heck
you know,
yeah.
we were kind of hamstrung by
Yeah, and it's
COVID thing.
so much better when you can play off each other.
Absolutely. And unfortunately the paradigm has shifted so that almost no shows do cast recordings anymore. Futurama is like the only thing that I know of that I'm working on that where there's
Boy, yeah.
90% of the cast is in the room at any
Yeah.
given time. You
I
know?
don't know that the public or the folks out there can necessarily sense that, but I think if you know,
I think
bet
if they
you put
can
one-
sense that we're not doing our jobs, because you're supposed to be as good alone in a room as you are if you've got the full cast.
Oh
there,
yeah.
you know.
But I still like it. And
Oh,
you know, for me, I ad
definitely.
lib so much, I screw things. Well, let's keep that. Then the next person's line doesn't work.
Right. No, you have to. You know, you got to be wary of the writing and what's a setup and what services the next
Yeah.
piece of dialogue, and you know, we feed off each other. Acting is listening.
Is reacting.
Good acting is listening and reacting. And
Reacting,
if you,
yeah.
you don't have the other actor there, it's tougher to do.
Right.
Yeah,
know,
that's
for
what I've
sure.
always said. Acting is X amount reacting.
Yeah.
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 I mean, even for me personally, you know, I'm an actor too. And like auditions even have changed so fundamentally. I mean, you know, it's completely different when you're reacting to like a pre-recorded something, or, you know, you go off and record an audition by yourself in a studio.
You do it in your house, right?
Do it in your house, or
set up.
I honestly, like, I pay to go to like a studio and actually do it with like a reader and, you know, a coach, because at least there's other people and you're getting an energy, you know, like when we used to audition before COVID essentially killed it off, was at least there would be, you know, the casting director and sometimes the director in the room.
Absolutely.
And they give you some notes and, you know, like when you're just recording it, I mean, I've had friends who, you know, it's easy to fall into the trap where you end up doing a 5-minute audition for 3 hours because you're always thinking that you can get it better, because there's no limitation.
That doesn't, I mean, I've been, because that's not unheard of even in voiceover doing it from the home studio.
And it's like,
because I don't have the booth director there.
Exactly.
You know, saying, okay, that's the one.
Yeah.
So for me, it's never the one.
Yeah.
So I'm 15, 20 minutes trying to get, you know.
Yeah. And, you know,
Blooper soap is real good.
I've come to the point where I've just been saying, you know what, like I'll do, you know, maybe maximum 10 takes, and just be like, that's as good of an actor as I am. You know, I'm not going to all of a sudden become Leonardo DiCaprio doing this 100 times. You know, it's just, in my opinion, it's not going to happen. You know, it's all right. That's what I have in
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough trap to fall into. And it's just such a weird.
Well, we're all our own worst critics.
For sure. For sure.
And then there's John Lovitz. He's the worst critic of himself on the Critic. Well. After these words.
Well, like I said, I do like funny you should ask. So that works.
Yeah.
Well, since we're kind of talking our way up into the present through these topics, I'll bring up Crapopolis, a show that you were recently on.
Yeah, I've done a few of those. I actually was in, you know, when they were just breaking ground with the show and laying the pipe. I was in every table read, but then you know, as is the trend now, they cast celebrities in those parts. And so, you know, I have to go with that. I have to go into a place of radical
I think at this
acceptance,
point of our career, you and I should be honorary celebrities. Damn it!
Yeah,
Damn it! Aren't we like honorary celebrities?
you know, I don't
Come
know.
on.
Depends who's celebrating.
The brain isn't a. Come on! What are you kidding me?
Yes, the character is a star, not you, Mo. You know.
Yeah. Well,
but, you know,
okay,
That's
fine.
a whole topic I could really go down to, because I really think that has become a cultural shift. I think that's why we see less megastars. I'm going to go on this rant. I'm sorry. I'm
good.
interrupting. I don't care. So in my opinion, you know, we used to have the megastars, you know, the Brad Pitts, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers. I feel like those are fewer and fewer because there's more emphasis on character now, because Iron Man is the hero. You know, it's not Robert Downey Jr. necessarily. Maybe that's a bad example because he kind of is Iron Man. But you get what I'm saying? It's like more emphasis. At the end of the first movie. More emphasis on the hero or the character rather than the actor who's playing that person. It's like, oh, it's fascinating to see, you know, this actor is going to play this character and I want to see this character instead of necessarily just, oh, I mean, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal's in this movie. I'm going to see Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
that's
they define
opinion.
a star by, you know, do you go to see the movie just for them? You know, and I guess, you know, in that way, with all the IPs that are out there, both in Marvel and the DCU, you do go to see the movie for those, for the intellectual property, for the characters that Marvel owns, and so there's something to be said for that theory. But each actor makes it his own. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I can't imagine anybody else but Downey playing, you know, Tony Stark. You know, he's just brings,
I'm sure one day there will be, though. Or like, you know, Hugh Jackman with Wolverine. It's you know, we'll see.
You can't pass down the adamantium claws to you know, another generation. They're baked into it. But
they're embedded.
You know, I accept, you know, the whole, you know, celebrity stunt casting thing. You know, I wish it were such. I wish it were, you know, sort of a meritocracy.
I wish so too.
You know, and
I'm a big believer in that one.
Yeah, but it's, you know, sometimes it's casting directors who just want to work with as many, you know, big name people as possible because that will make their star ascend. I can't fault them for that.
Yeah,
but you know, I would love to. It's just. be able to get my foot in the door of a lot of things that I can't.
1,000 years ago, TV Guide interviewed me about that, about the stars coming in. And I think it was when Tom Cruise came in and did 2 Captain Planets.
Yes, I remember that.
And I remember thinking, well, it's like this. You're a kid, you're 10 years, 8, 12 years old, and you're sitting there going, this is really a great cartoon. If only Brad Pitt were Grimy Man number 3,
Right,
instead of Maurice LaMarche. If only, if only fill in the blank, Robert Downey Jr. were the janitor. Doggone it, this would have been so much better. No, they don't. They don't
person.
actually
the
say
kids
that.
don't know, but they do that so the parents will go to the
I've
theater.
said it before and I'll say it again.
And-
There is nobody in the world that cared if Vin Diesel was Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sorry, I will die on that
No,
hill. There's not a
boy.
single person that cared
Not
about Vin
one.
Diesel being that role. It could have been anybody in the world.
Yes.
And you had to pick Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
I don't even have anything against Vin Diesel, but why Vin Diesel?
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Why?
I mean,
you could have made an
just to
actor's
say-
career. You
Yeah.
could have made an actor's career by
Yeah.
saying 3 words. I am
Yes.
Groot.
Yeah.
You could have given somebody a huge platform.
I could have been Groot. Could you have been Groot?
I think I might have been able to pull it off,
I think so.
but I don't begrudge
and
Vin
Lord
the
knows you
work.
would
I
have,
mean,
Christopher.
we're all
I'm not. No,
we all
okay,
carry
maybe I
a SAG
am. Maybe I
AFTRA
am
card.
begrudging him. Maybe I'm a hater. I don't care. I'm dying on that hill.
I don't either.
Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it
I'm
wouldn't
with
have
you.
taken Vin to play Groot, but I'll tell you, nobody else could have played the Iron Giant, but Vin Diesel, and he was an unknown at the time.
He was.
Yeah.
and
he
boy,
was.
did he bring
That was a
that character home
Yeah.
when
I
he's
agree.
flying up and going, "I am Superman." He's not a dry eye in the
emotional.
freaking theater.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest. Forget animated films. One of the greatest films
It was
of
great.
that
Yeah,
year,
I agree.
man. So I try to be less territorial about the work as long as as long as I can make a living. As long as I can pay my bills.
Yeah.
I'm happy. They've got SAG cards. I've got SAG cards. You've got a SAG card.
Yeah.
You've got a SAG card. There's no restriction of you can't come over here.
Yeah.
I'm
sure
I'd
Mr.
love it if
Diesel's
somebody
doing fine.
gave me a talk show. I remember Craig Ferguson, who actually is a real life dear friend. He came in to do a guest spot on Futurama 10 years ago.
He's a nice guy.
On our second or third resurrection, I can't remember which. He walked in and I said, "Do I come to CBS and try to host the show?"
Yeah.
Well, do I get behind your desk and try to host the show? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I was totally
Yes.
kidding with him, but it's like, but in that joking, I realized that there's a chasm, but it only goes one way. I was like, I can't get over there to do what he does, but he can come in and do what I do.
Right.
But again, not begrudgingly. Okay, tiny begrudgingly.
Yeah, a little
but not
bit.
towards Craig. Just, I wish it kind of was both ways. Once you
Yeah.
establish yourself, it would be nice if casting directors wouldn't say, "Well, he's a cartoon guy," and have you in.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that pissed me off was that years ago is that they were doing, it was I'm trying to think of what it was. It was a Darkwing spinoff. But anyway, I had a character named Don Carnage from Tailspin, and he had a little cameo on the show. And so instead of getting me, they had Juan Miguel Miranda from
Lin-Manuel.
Hamilton.
Lin-Manuel. Yes.
Yeah, Juan was busy. And so they had him, and he came up and he had one line, and he mispronounced the name. He said, "I am Don Carnage." And I was like, "No, it's Don Carnage." and I was thinking, you really should be able to pronounce the name. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just me, I'm sure. But say the name.
I love In
Other
the
than
Heights
that-
though. I love that play.
That's true.
So he gets a pass.
Hamilton. Yeah, it's like, I won't write any fantastic Broadway plays if you leave Don Carnage alone. I think that's fair.
I forgot who said that about like Michael Jordan. They were like, Michael Jordan gets to come and do his own movie. Let me go play in the NBA for a couple games.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't me who said that. That's, I'm pretty sure. Oh man. So what's happening these days? Any irons in the fire that we should know about?
Well, I'm doing this show called NDA,
NDA.
And then there's this feature
Non-disclosure
film
agreement?
called NDA, the movie. And there's a bunch of stuff that,
that you're not allowed to talk about.
not allowed to talk
That
about.
always pisses me off.
They make you go, you're not allowed to talk about. So there's a feature film that, from one of the two major, across the wash from each other, in North Hollywood. I'm getting to reprise a role. Let's just put it this way: I'm getting to reprise a role in a major Disney soon-to-be-released film. Who may or may not sound like this, but other than that,
Yes.
Mrs. Lincoln.
Excellent.
Yes. So that's coming up. We just wrapped on our third. It's so funny because they're counted different ways. According to our contracts, it's like season 9, but according to the IMDb, I think it's season 13. Anyway, we just wrapped last week on the very last episode of Futurama. For now, we're hoping Hulu sees the wisdom and not canceling us, because all the other people who've carried us and canceled us have seen us come back from the dead.
Yeah.
So just leave us on. Just don't cancel us again.
That's all.
Hulu. Just let us keep making.
Then you won't have to. Then you won't have to reprise it.
Yeah, we won't have to
resuscitate it.
Exactly. Don't resuscitate. Just have us be on the air like this. Like they just haven't. They haven't canceled the Simpsons in 36 years.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Treat us the same way.
Simpsons
How
been
many
on
of those
TV
have you
longer than
done?
I've been
Simpsons?
alive.
Simpsons. I think I'm pretty close to 30 now.
No kidding.
30 guest spots. Yeah. I just recorded one this week.
Well, I'm close to 2.
2?
Because I did 1.
Okay.
But that was it. And ask me my line.
Oh, bother?
No, it was. I was a friggin' horse.
Fantastic.
I was a horse.
You got in the door.
I was, yeah. And then they said, thank you. And then I left the door.
Yeah.
I got out the door.
I keep playing Orson Welles on there.
I've been there ever since. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So they have me whenever we have Orson Welles.
Perfect.
And whenever there's just like a character that Hank or Harry go, I don't really have this impression.
Yeah.
And so they call me up.
Perfect.
But the Simpsons, getting to guest on that again, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh God, yeah.
And as I said, I just did one last week. I can't tell you who I played, but it'll be an upcoming episode.
Yeah.
And we're just hoping again for a pickup on Futurama.
Yes.
We are apparently, as of this recording, they put out a little thing in the the trades that we were the 6th most streamed original programming in all of the myriad of original programming out on all streamers combined.
Fantastic.
So I think and I'm not sure if we're Hulu's most streamed, but we're definitely all of streaming's 6th most streamed show.
Damn.
Wow.
So, and that includes movies.
That works.
So, I hope the algorithm, goes more Hulu. We need more Hulu. I mean, more Futurama. Must get more Hulu, Futurama, Hulu, Hulu-rama, Future Lulu. We don't care. More.
See, I gave you some background
You
there.
a little theremin?
Yeah, just
Beautiful theremin.
Whoa.
Oh,
Subliminal something.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
So there's that. And picked up a couple of Rick and Morty's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No NDA there, so I can tell you that I'm, showing up on Rick and Morty a couple
They sure
of times.
take their time to release those shows.
They
huh?
do.
Holy
There's
cow.
big quality control going on over there. So, they've got a product.
Phenomenal show.
Yeah, it
Phenomenal
really is.
show.
It
It's
really is.
frustrating as a fan, though. It's like,
When's the new one?
I can kind of just forget about it for like 2 or 3 years. And then it's like, oh, yeah.
But that's the paradigm now with entertainment, especially in the streaming eras, where they're making these short seasons of 10 of everything. And then you wait 3 years for the next, how long did people who, I didn't watch the first season of Severance, and now I'm finally watching it, and coincidentally, the second season came out. But I understand people waited 3 years for these new shows. Mm-hmm. So, and 1923, again, it's only going to be 8 episodes. What a powerhouse show that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I long for the days when they made you do 39 episodes. You know, you just knew you were working for a year. You know?
Yeah, 39 or 65.
There was one other topic that I wanted to bring up that the powers that be would be upset if we didn't. You have an infamous belch. Is that correct?
The infamous belch.
Yeah, when you need a serious burp / belch.
May have been present for a Will Ferrell, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's a sound effect. It's not a real belch. It's a sound effect that I've been doing since I was, how old are you in the grade 5? 10.
8 or
I was 10 years
10.
old. My dad used to take us on the weekends to, the bowling alley, and then next to the bowling alley there was this convenience store. But they had comic books, and they had that little carousel thing with jokes and gags. You know, and you got the joy buzzer and the fart cushion and the plastic puke, the rubber puke. And so I bought the rubber puke one weekend, and I thought, I'm going to really do this right,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the bathroom, get it a little wet, and then I'm going to fold it.
I was just going to say, did you do that? I did that too. Get it wet.
Get it wet. But other people would just have left it on the floor and, have people freak out. But I thought, I got to go full performance art with this. I'm 10 years old and I'm thinking that, okay. So I fold it, I palm it like I'm, Penn and Teller rolled into one. And I palm it and I put it up to my mouth in class and I start going, and then in my mind I'm going, you're going to need a sound effect for this. Why don't you try a little Tuvan throat singing while doing a Georgie Jessel thing with your tongue to give yourself an echo? I didn't actually think about that much.
So the typical approach.
The thing anybody would think of. So I just did this and I went, and it hit the floor, and everybody was suitably horrified, and the nurse was called. And she came in, and she, of course, picked up the plastic puke, and then I was in big trouble.
Big trouble.
But I never forgot the feeling of that sound, and the feeling that it created in my throat because it hurts, and just how effective it was.
Yeah,
that people were like,
yeah,
and so that I would do that. They kept saying to me at recess, "Do the sound you did. Do the sound you did." So that sound became a sort of a syntho belch, syntho puke, and then we're
Happy
doing
Thanksgiving.
Cut to Animaniacs years later. We're at Soundcastle. We're making the thing, and they do the great Wackarati. Jess Harnell's character Wacko is at the Hollywood Bowl, and he can burp in pitch in key, and so he's doing classical music, but it's. The blew down your balls, and I guess somebody who worked on Elf saw that and said, "Get me that guy," because they had tried a bunch of electronic,
sound effects,
stitching together burps, and it just wasn't sounding right. So they said, "Get us the guy that burps for Wacko." On Animaniacs, and it's a 15-second long sustained sound, and I did it in one take.
Ooh,
but boy, did it hurt.
Ooh, yeah,
and I still get residuals.
Wrong with that.
Round about March, I get the Christmas residual checks for the streams, for the physical media they sell, for that burp. And
that's so
Will
funny.
has never properly thanked me for that.
You gotta love that.
I
Will?
haven't seen him again. I worked with him on the Oblongs, and
the Oblongs. I loved that show.
Little I was utility voice player on the Oblongs. He was very nice, but I don't know if he even knows that I was the guy who burped for him. But one day I'll meet him and say, I was your stunt burper.
Oh, your stunt, yeah.
Yeah.
You hear that, Will? I know you're watching.
Yeah, that's right. You're damn right he is.
Along with all the casting directors.
Yeah, that's right. Maurice LaMarche.
Oh, yes.
I used to have this thing when we would start off a show, ladies and gentlemen, Maurice LaMarche. It's Saturday Night Live.
I know. I
did
used to hear
Don
that and go,
Pardo.
one day I'd love to. He makes it sound so real. It's the best Don Pardo in the business. They should have got you. I mean, not that I begrudge Daryl Hammond the work, but you really nailed the Don Pardo sound. I mean, they've been seamless from the original episodes to now.
Yeah,
it's great.
Oh man, good stuff.
Do you think it's voice swap time?
I do indeed.
Voice swap?
Voice swap.
Yes.
Oh, I don't think I got that far along.
It's a little game that we like to play.
Oh, I don't think I took a little sample of the show, but I never got to this point. So tell me about voice swap.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you pick up one of your signature characters and throw out a signature line, and then I'll take one of my signature characters and do a bad impression of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so you'll do the same line for each other's characters.
All right.
But
Yes.
in the respective voices.
All right, here it is.
So,
Here we go. The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
perhaps Hondo.
I was just about to say, because there could be something coming from a galaxy far, far away.
There could be. The same thing we do every night, Pinky. We try to take over the world.
Love it.
Yes, I think that was right. Yeah. And let's see.
What about, I was thinking about Fuzzy Lumpkins on the way here. I was trying to think about characters that we don't really do.
Oh, yeah, that's true. From the Powerpuff Girls.
Okay.
I play a bumpkin named Lumpkin. And his whole shtick is he's a hillbilly out there in Nowhereville, who knows. And he said, "Get off of my property."
Okay, so let me try that as Dr. Egon Spengler from
Oh, here we
Ghostbusters.
go.
Get off of my property.
Yes. God, you sound just like you.
How about, am I supposed to do it? Like I'm supposed to take your character and say it in my voice, right?
Yeah.
I did that right? I didn't
You
do it
did
wrong.
perfectly.
Okay.
You did it right.
Yeah.
And then I can do the brain going, oh, bother. I would do that for a schmeckerel of honey. Yes.
Oh, bother. I would do that for a smackerel of honey.
I'm sorry, smackerel. It's the Jewish in me. I made it into a schmeckerel.
Schmeckerel. Such a schmeck.
Schmeckel.
Yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere. But
I have a personal request.
Yes, sir.
Could you do Kiff?
Yes, I can do Kith. I would do that for a smackerel of honey, which is to shave Captain Brannigan's armpits.
Oh, thanks.
I love
Mo.
Billy West's
Yeah.
Zap, man. It's so funny.
It's so perfect. It's another thing where the chemistry of the two characters feed off of each other, and so I mean I can't record Kiff by myself because I need him there. I need to know exactly how beleaguered is Kiff in this take. So you can only do that by listening. Acting is listening, and if I listen to the bluster of what Billy brings to Zap, I know exactly how downtrodden to be as Kiff in that moment.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Beautiful
Good stuff.
Beautiful.
I'm so glad you made it here.
Me
Mo.
too,
Yeah,
man.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
so very much. It was tough getting past the guard, but
You explained to him that you were trying to take over the world.
I was
and
trying to take over the world.
starting here.
What I did was I became William Shatner, and I had a Star Trek fight with him. Da, 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 da. And then we go to a long shot, and it's a completely different guy with a blonde wig on going, yeah.
I'm gonna look up the lyrics to that song.
the
I can't believe
two-handed
that
thing.
song has lyrics.
Yeah. Let's see.
The Star Trek theme song has lyrics. I've never heard that
Oh,
before.
Yeah, it does. Here it is.
I don't believe you.
What are the lyrics to Star Trek?
I think I'm in the key.
What are the lyrics to Star Trek? Watch this.
I'm providing mood music.
The lyrics to Star Trek theme song are as follows. Beyond the rim of the starlight, my love is wandering in starflight. I know you'll find in star-clustered reaches love, strange love, a star woman teaches. I know his journey ends never. His Star Trek will go on forever.
That was brilliant.
And that's how you do it, kids. Take
that
notes.
was so funny.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. Maurice LaMarche.
Maurice LaMarche.
Maurice LaMarche. Thank you everybody for watching. Maurice LaMarche was so kind enough to join us today.
Thank you.
That was a really fun one.
That was
a really fun one.
A lot of fun.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can find a whole bunch of bonus content if you didn't know on Patreon. We've got a lot of new Patreon subscribers. So thank you guys all for that. And of course, be sure to check out in the beginning, we're going to start announcing where Jim will be for conventions and upcoming appearances, signings, all that good stuff. So we will see you in the next one. Thanks again so much for being here, Mo. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much, guys.
And thank you guys all for watching.
All right.
That was wonderful.
Hey, that was marvelous.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And now the real conversation can start. So
yeah, that's right.
Now I'll relax and
No,
so much. I'm kidding.
Good stuff, man.